Hey guys, today we are starting our unit or our topic of transportation. So I am going to be doing notes live here for you. I will not be posting them into the digital sessions resources until a bit later. Yes, I am watching Carpool Karaoke because it's Monday morning and I need a little positivity. So we are doing transportations. So what this means is things moving, right? Things moving. We know that our transportation is cars, buses, etc. It gets us from one place to the next. So molecules or particles or things in a cell, particles are the stuff in cells, they have to move from, remember, the inside of the barrier, oh my goodness, you guys, welcome to the regular struggle, inside the cell to the outside and vice versa. So that means outside to inside. Now there are two major ways that we do this. It's called passive and active. Now, there are two types of transportation in cells. We have passive and active. Now, if you think about the difference between the words passive and active, well, a passive person sits by and watches, and an active person gets up and does something. So passive means to do it without energy. And we will begin discussing active on our second live of the week, so either Thursday or Friday. But today we are talking about passive. So what this means is that this stuff goes from inside the cell to out of the cell, or out of the cell to inside the cell, without using any energy. So what that means is that it flows with a concentration gradient. So without energy equals with the concentration gradient. And we learned about what the word concentration gradient meant today, which is the difference in the amount of stuff outside versus inside, or the amount of stuff inside versus outside. So if I am in a hallway and I have a bunch of classmates outside and I only have about 2 or 3 inside that classroom, I'm definitely going to want to move from that really, really crowded hallway into that nice empty classroom. So that is moving with a concentration gradient from high to low. So what this means is that I go from an area where there's a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of kids in the hallway, to an area where there's not a lot of stuff, aka only about 3 kids in the classroom. So it takes me no energy to go from where everybody is to where there's not a lot of people. And that is passive. And what we call passive, where we go from high concentration to low concentration, so again, a very crowded hallway, to a spread out classroom, is called diffusion, because I diffuse. So if you think about a diffuser for like your essential oils in your room, that is spreading the smell from a high concentration of the machine to the low concentration of your room. This is how perfume works. This is how Febreze or air fresheners work. This is how aromatherapy and incense work, is that it takes a high concentration of where it is and it spreads it all out throughout the area around us. So again, transportation is moving things, aka particles, inside and outside of the cell. And there are two types, passive and active. And passive means to do it without energy. So if it's without energy, it's with the concentration gradient, which means we are going from an area of a lot of stuff to an area of not so much stuff, so high to low. So diffusion is the act of moving particles from a high concentration to a low concentration. Now, there's a specific type of diffusion. And we are going to use the outline method. So I know that passive is one of my main categories. Diffusion is a type of passive, and a type of diffusion is osmosis. Now, I know that can be confusing, so let's think about it like a tree. We have transportation. There's 2 branches, passive and active. On the passive branch, we have diffusion. In diffusion's branch, we have osmosis. So think about osmosis is a type of diffusion. Diffusion is not a type of osmosis. Osmosis is a type of diffusion. It's a type of diffusion, and that moves water. So a common joke in Hollywood that obviously annoys Miss Humphreys is, well, you're going to learn it by osmosis because the book is like near you. No, osmosis is water. Text and information and knowledge would be diffusion, because the book would be a high concentration and your brain would be a low concentration. It's processed by diffusion. Osmosis is specifically water, and knowledge is not water. So osmosis is specifically the movement of water So it's a type of diffusion specific to water, and it is also moving with that concentration gradient from high to low because it's passive. It's moving water, and again, we are moving past a semi-permeable membrane, and we know that semi means ish, permeable means to go through. Another word we've used commonly is selectively. So we know that this selectively or semi-permeable membrane will choose what goes in between, and it will allow those waters to go through following the concentration gradient. So that is a rundown of osmosis and diffusion. And again, on our next live, we will be talking about active transport.